This is still the conversation on News Central Television, and this time around we will be going straight to Senegal, where of course there is a new president, talking about of course, Faye, who was elected over the weekend as the new president of Senegal. And this time around, he has promised that he will revive the country's economy. Now, the new Senegalese president, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who promises to promote economic patriotism and renegotiate foreign contracts, will face many challenges in restoring investors' confidence and also stabilizing the economy and keeping, of course, a track of growth of the economy. Now, the economic consequences of the political crisis in the country has been felt throughout the entire country. Amongst the major economic sectors affected is tourism. Now, some 25% to 30% of tourist bookings have been cancelled since the start of the crisis. Now, the big question is this: what lies ahead for the new president, particularly as regards the economy? Now, to make sense of this, I'm joined on the program by Dr. Pape Chérif Bassène, Senior Lecturer, University of Cheikh Anta, Diop from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for your time, Dr. Bassène. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yes, let me start off by saying, it's a new dawn for Senegal. A new president, the youngest in the history of the country, and of course, for many, the future looks promising and bright. My question to you is this: how bright and promising is the future of Senegal with the new government?
Oh, here is my perspective. There is the promise that the elite is waiting for, and on the other side, you have the youth, and the youth is not well educated. So the debates that the elites will be having sometimes will be out of touch with the need of the youth, because the youth, they want to be occupied. And to be occupied, you have to find them jobs. So the kind of jobs that will be available will not be the jobs that well-educated people will have. So you have to create kind of job that they can apply for. So those are the things we have to take into account, and to pay attention about the elitist debate and the non-elitist debate. What do they need, that youth? Because even our education system is not good to train enough qualified people to cope with or to satisfy our market in terms of, future development in the industrial or mineral resources. So we have to pay attention about this.
Now, let me, of course, read out to you a particular survey. Now, according to the Africa 2050 survey, recently, of course, conducted by the Institute Council Europe, it remains that Africa, of course, still remains a favorite investor destination. Now, the survey polled the opinions of about 300 leaders across 34 countries of the continent. Now, some 53% of these leaders ranked the European Union at the top of their trade preference, while Europe, of course, retains its crown, thanks to, of course, particularly countries like Germany and the likes. But we are beginning to see an influx of investors, particularly in Africa. In the case of Senegal, the tourism sector, due to the recent political impasse, has suffered a lot. What do you think the current president can do to revive that sector and turn around the economy, given the fact that we know of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, amongst other issues globally?
You know what, this is quite interesting. You have to understand that it was the Minister of Tourism who was, can I say, plotting, those trials, the last trial that forbid Ousmane Sonko for being a candidate was the trial against the Minister of Tourism. And then it is very particular that a Minister of Tourism spend all of his time, bringing someone into trial, and those trials are the causes of the political instability in Senegal. So this is the clear thing that we have under this regime. And I think that the next Minister of Tourism won't be the one who is going accusing political, contenders in order to avoid them to be, political leaders or whatever come. So this is the thing we have to take into account. The reason why we failed our tourism, policies is that it was the Minister of Tourism who was, taking the country into turmoil. He was the one who was accusing, who bring Usman Sonko to trial, knowing the instability we're going through after the first, trial how can I say it, for rape. And after that, when it failed, it was the Minister of Tourism, without calculating the consequences of those, accusations, who brings those trials. And he spent all his time in the couch instead of thinking about, tourism policies. So I don't think we are going to have this same situation in the next years to come. Or if it must come, people are already analyzing the main cause of this tourism failure, this tourism economic failure was done by the Minister of Culture and Tourism. Of Tourism, I'm sorry.
All right, now let's talk about, of course, the political situation right now within the country, particularly within the political space. We know that prior to the elections, the former president did make some moves that initially were not, didn't sit well with the people. There was resistance. And of course, to pacify the people, he had to release some political prisoners and all of that. What do you see the current president doing to the former president? Do you see a situation where maybe Faye would sort of take back a pound of flesh, on Macky Sall, or, just for peace to reign, allow the status quo remain?
Something interesting to follow is that they are saying that we are not going to do what they call chasse aux sorcières. We are not going to target in terms of revenge against the harm-doing they did to us. But however, people are asking for justice. So this we have to take into account. People are asking for justice.
So in this context, what exactly would you consider justice?
Oh, which is quite interesting. We don't think that the internal affairs, the Minister of Internal Affairs, Interior, will go safely along after the deaths, the number of deaths that we have counted. We don't think that people will keep quiet and say that let's forget it and go forward. I think these forced commanded, forgiveness will not happen. I don't think they will force us to accept what happened. So for that, Senegalese need to do their. There must be someone to take responsibility. And for this one to take responsibility, this amnesty is not going to work as far as we are not asking, those who were running this country to tell us what really happened. And if really in Senegal, the accusation that turns toward the youth is true or not. We need that kind of justice, not reconciliation, but we need to know if the wrongdoing must be punished, they have to be punished. Otherwise, people there won't be the possibility of forgiveness.
Okay, so are you saying part of justice could mean the former president doing time?
I feel that people are talking about negotiation, between, the former president and this coming regime. But, in the Senegalese constitution, the president can be safe and his family. But people around him will have to pay, if I can say so.
All right. Now, let's talk about, of course, the youth in Senegal. We know that a bulk of them really did support Faye, getting into power. What plans do you think or that the current president has, particularly for the youth population, to ensure that they are better employed, better standard of living, they are able to take care of themselves and project, into the future?
So this party run under something they call a project. It's not a program, it's a project. And what it means, the project was supposed to elect Ousmane Sonko. So now, two things we have to look at. I mean, being a good manager is to be able to choose someone and to make him succeed. So I think that it will depend on the responsibility Ousmane Sonko is going to take, which is how could he be side by side with President Faye and help him succeed, because he is the one who trusts him and who tell people that he's a good one, he can replace me. And then add to that, this party used to have agricultural project that they hold during the rainy season. And those projects, small projects, are financed by the party itself, knowing that the youth is not well qualified to occupy, high standard position. Maybe they will, now that they have the state means, they will help develop those projects that they started to develop as a party. And I think that the best way to cope with the need of the youth in terms of, employment was to develop those policies they tried as an opposition party, like in the agricultural sector. And I think that they are going to follow those steps now that they have the state's means.
I mean, since, of course, Faye became president, he has received quite a lot of congratulatory messages across the world. And of course, from international organizations, we have the AU saying, congratulations, countries across the world congratulating this young president. Some, however, are asking, do you think he has what it takes, given his age, right, and his level of political exposure to manage, a country as diverse and maybe complex as Senegal?
That's why I have anticipated this question, because for me, it was Ousmane Sonko who told Senegalese, I trust him, he will do better. So now, if you have the possibility to choose someone, because the Senegalese were waiting for Ousmane Sonko, but he told them, no, I'm not going running because it won't be possible, but I'm asking you to vote for this guy. So this is management. Now, the success of Faye will depend on the engagement of Ousmane Sonko. And knowing that Ousmane Sonko don't want to lose the face because he promised that this one is going to be a good president, they will find a way to team up and to work together. This is what I'm looking forward. I mean, I don't know how they will implement it, but I'm sure they will try to be. We did not elect one person who is Faye. We have elected two persons. So how will it be organized in the system? Let's see. But I'm sure Faye is not alone. We have two presidents, at least, if I can say so.
Sorry, you said you have two presidents.
Yes.
Who's the second?
Ousmane Sonko.
Oh, wow. And that takes me to my next question. Of course, active involvement of Ousmane Sonko. Quite, a lot of experts are also asking the question of the issue of the president having autonomy, because we know, throughout the entire campaign, Ousmane Sonko's influence was really felt. In fact, it was his influence, his shadow, that allowed Faye to become president eventually. And so questions are being asked as regards, will the president have the autonomy to really make decisions, without, undue influence from Sonko? Do you think the president has what it takes to stand alone?
Oh, yeah. How can I say it? First, as I said it formally, Ousmane Sonko has to choose someone. So now it's his responsibility that this someone succeed. It's just like when you hire someone in your office. If he fails, it's because you have failed. You don't have, the vision to hire the good person. So now what will you do? You have to accompany him. You won't let him alone. This is what I'm thinking in terms of management. So I think he has choose someone. He won't let him alone. He will be beside and give recommendation when needed. So how will they implement it? Let me tell you something. In Senegal, we used to have in our constitution the vice president. Maybe let's see, by July, there is a possibility, to run again the national parliament, to end the term of this going parliament and to renew it. So I don't know, maybe we will need to change the constitutions and bring the former constitution. That constitution allows Senegal to have a vice president. It's only Macky Sall, when he came, who ended that, that article in the Constitution. But I think there is a possibility that we bring it back so that we have a vice president who may play that role of the management or the core management, who will team up with the acting running president, because he is the one who chooses it. So he has no right to make him fail. So I think that these two guys will team up, they understand each other, and I trust they will succeed.
All right. Talking about teaming up and understanding each other, it's politics. It's all about interest. And we've also seen, in the past, trends where you have two individuals who are strong players, in the political space. They're sort of intertwined, and at some point, they fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And from there, it goes downhill. Do you see that happening with Sonko and Faye?
Let me bring our culture. I still defend it. We have to bring our African heritage, and we have that joking relationship between Faye and Sar, and I trust it. I even published a paper talking about how, Ousmane Sonko's grandfather, who is from Casamance, a region where they resisted the colonial power, what he did, knowing that his own people, the ethnic group from Casamance, the Jola, refused the presence of the colonial power, what he did, he hired people from the north, from the Diomaye ethnic group, the Serer, he hired them, gave them his family name so that they are accepted in the Jola region, and then he appointed them as the chief of villages. This is how it helped him implement school in the region of Casamance. So we have between the Serer, this is a very good heritage we took from Senghor. The Serer and the Jola, they have a relationship, cultural relationship, that make them think that culturally you have not to betray the other one. I think we are going to play on that role. It played a role. People tend to forget it. But we have some African, magic powers. I don't know how to define it, that we can still use in Africa and forget some European conceptions. The reason why I trust they will have a good team is because I believe that they have a cultural heritage that they can use to help themselves.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Pape Chérif Bassène, Senior Lecturer, University of Cheikh Anta Diop, Dakar, Senegal. Once again, thank you for your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
All right. And that's a wrap on today's episode of today's program. Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's also important that I emphasize that all the opinions of our guests remains theirs and not that of News Central. My name is Dapo Adegboye. Stay safe. Bye for now.